The coronavirus pandemic has negatively affected the lives of every group of people throughout the world. One group of individuals who are more affected than others are musicians. Getting together to practice in person is hard enough already, but getting together in a video call, that might be harder than you'd think. And here's why. Every time you talk over a video call, it takes time for your voice to travel over the internet, and for the people on the other end to hear you. This is called latency. We can tolerate latency in conversation, but it makes playing music together almost impossible. To play together, we have to hear each other at the exact same time, or at least perceive it that way. We know it takes time for sound to travel any distance. Studies have shown that in person, musicians can still play in sync up to 30 feet apart. Sound travels that 30 feet in about 30 milliseconds. Over a video call, it usually takes about 500 milliseconds, or half a second. Now this is what a 30 millisecond delay sounds like. It's there, but it's hard to notice. Now this is a 500 millisecond delay. Big difference. With that added latency, playing in sync becomes impossible. So if using video conferencing is impossible, is there a way for musicians in quarantine to still play together? There is now, DistanSing. DistanSing is an ultra-low latency application which allows for near real-time audio transport. It allows users to create rehearsal rooms with other individuals. When in a room, the volume of incoming audio streams can be changed, and individuals can be muted or soloed. Our goal with DistanSing was to make a simple and easy-to-use application so that musicians can focus on what they do best. DistanSing is a cross-platform application with current support for Windows 10 and Mac OS. As this is just a prototype, the UI itself is a bit plain. Let's get started. After I sign in to my DistanSing account, I have three options. I can create a new rehearsal room. Here I can name the room and enter a password so that only permitted people are able to join my rehearsal. I can also join an existing practice room, or just listen to an active rehearsal. Once inside a rehearsal room, I am able to adjust the volume of each participant as well as mute and solo individuals. This is useful for music instructors to give specific instruction and direction to musicians. Our team created a recording of us singing Happy Birthday using DistanSing. Each of us were in our respective homes. As we were singing, there was no perceivable latency. Disclaimer, we are not the best singers. Alright, let's go ahead and sing Happy Birthday. Take us, Will.
Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday
to you. Happy birthday, dear DistanSing. Happy birthday to you.
Once you leave a rehearsal room, the recordings from each individual person as well as the mixed copy are saved to the computer for later use. Rather than relay data through a central server, DistanSing uses peer-to-peer technology. This allows for the fastest possible transport. Most consumer-grade computers are not meant to capture and play back audio with such low latency. Windows, for example, had a minimum operating system overhead of between 80 and 150 milliseconds. We needed to use a third-party audio driver to access the computer's hardware directly. The client was written in C++ using the Qt environment. The final audio recordings were processed using FFmpeg, and the hardware driver was accessed with the use of port audio. The low-latency hardware driver we used was ASIO, initially developed by Steinberg Media Technologies. ASIO stands for Audio Stream Input and Output. The specific implementation we used was ASIO for All. ASIO is the missing piece which allows us to access the audio hardware directly and has allowed us to achieve a base latency of 10 milliseconds. We also implemented a central server which stores our user information, manages the rehearsal creation process, and helps to bootstrap the peer-to-peer network. The server was written in Python using Flask. The database is SQLite, and the server is hosted on an AWS EC2 instance. DistanSing is a low-latency audio application which allows for users to hear each other over the network with minimal latency. It is our hope that DistanSing will help struggling musicians during this pandemic and into the future. Thank you for your time.